Hi, everyone. Welcome to another moment with the mayor. We have two great guests with us today. So before we dive in, I just want to share a little bit of context about Woodland Terrace. Woodland Terrace is a manufactured home community located in Richfield. Actually, a lot of people don't even know we have a manufactured home community here in Richfield, but we do. And the residents of the community recently purchased Woodland Terrace from a longtime landowner who was looking to retire. With me today is Adrian, President of the Cooperative Board, and Tori Clark, Executive Director of North Country Cooperative Foundation, the organization that's helping to preserve manufactured home communities like Woodland Terrace across the state. So thank you so much, Bev and Tori, for joining me today. So I have a couple questions. I'll start with you, Bev. So for those folks who are unfamiliar with Woodland Terrace here in Richfield, can you tell us a little bit more about the community, where it's located?
I certainly can. Woodlawn Terrace Cooperative is located on Lyndale Avenue in the 7400 block. Yes, people don't know it's here. We're sort of tucked away and hidden. We're 5 acres, 30 residents. The community has been under ownership by the park owner for about 54 years, and he wanted to retire. And I was inquiring about purchasing a home in the community and had a conversation with him. And he had the park on the market, but something fell through and he was pulling the offer off the table. So I said, well, I know people. Would you be willing to talk to the people I know that help residents purchase their communities to become cooperatives? He said, yeah, I'll talk to them. So right away I called North Country Co-op Foundation. Tori answered the phone and I explained the situation and told her that this little community has been under ownership for 54 years by the same person, and he was looking forward to retirement and would be willing to talk with her about possible resident ownership. So that started the ball rolling. That was in September of 2020. And it took, it was quite a long process. It took, about 15 months before we were able to secure the purchase agreement and make the offer and present the idea to the community, to the residents in the community. And we had an overwhelming response by the community members here. Everybody was so in favor of the opportunity to try to become a co-op. Everyone here had lived in fear for the last 10 years, thinking their park was going to be sold, it was going to be redeveloped. Where would they go? What would happen to their homes, their lives, this land? So yeah, it was a pretty exciting adventure that we're on, and the city of Richfield has warmly received us. That was just amazing. We have many projects in process as we speak. We're adding 7 new homes within the next month. They're arriving and the footings are being laid as we speak. Lots of activity here. Very exciting.
Wow, that is just a phenomenal story. And I just thank you so much, Bev, for your leadership. Any other person could have just said, okay, thanks, and walked away and thrown their hands up, and you didn't. And the work that you and the community are doing to now own your home and the community where you live, and to improve it and to keep people in their homes and pave the way is so important. And I think hearing that story is crucially important, because I think people don't really realize the impact that they have, the actual impact and ability to make change in their own community. People give that away because they don't understand that they have that power and ability every day. So to listen to you talk about that is just really inspiring. And that's part of why we wanted to do this video, is to make sure people know of the stories of the tremendous leadership here in Richfield and how they're making a difference. Before I go to Tori and ask a couple questions, Bev, I know when I went to Woodland Terrace, the community is just so gorgeous and beautiful and unique. And, you know, I want to hear from you directly, who's been living there for so many years. What makes that community unique to you?
Well, the community is located on 5 acres of land that nobody knows about. It's really a hidden gem. We have mature trees. We have wildlife. We have turkeys that live here, opossums and fox, bald eagles that fly over. It's a heavily wooded area compared to the rest of the city. Well, we're close to Wood Lake Nature Center, but the community has been highly maintained by the park owner, and the trees have been trimmed, and it's just a well, gorgeous little spot that nobody could even comprehend is here.
Absolutely. It is very magical. I don't know how else to explain it, but I just remember, walking in the community and I think it's those trees and that beautiful forest. But also, it's like you step into this space where everybody knows everybody, like literally everybody knows everyone. And it's just this sense of community that you get there as well. So those are a couple of things that I noticed. So Tori, I know talking to you in the past, you said that working with the city of Richfield really has been quite a different experience than you have had in the past. Can you talk a little bit about what makes the city of Richfield interactions and partnership with the cooperative different than other interactions?
Yeah, every time we get a new co-op going, when we get a property under contract, the first thing that we do is reach out to the city, right? That's just a matter of practice because there can be such critical partners and allies throughout the many months that it takes to the co-op to actually purchase their property. And so we did the same thing here with Richfield and with the city staff. And immediately, I mean, the first meeting, um, because we always we're kind of taking the temperature, right, of the municipality to see like, have there been issues with the community in the past? Like, because sometimes, I mean, there's a lot of stigma associated with manufactured home communities. I think a lot of municipalities, I think as we get the word out about how valuable the affordable home ownership opportunity that these communities provide, I think that tide is turning, and that you're seeing more municipalities getting on board and being more preservation minded. But there's a long history of municipalities being actively antagonistic to manufactured home communities and actively, trying to get rid of them and close them. And when our first meeting with the city staff, they immediately embraced the idea. They immediately said multiple times how valuable the community was to them and that it was important that the community is preserved. And those are great signals to a partner like us, that it's like, okay, they get it. They understand that they understand the value that this community is bringing. And then every step of the way, I mean, every request that we made, every opportunity for partnership, for collaboration, they never turned us away. The city staff never turned us away. And in fact, they wanted to educate the rest of the city council. They wanted to bring you in as the mayor to visit and see what the impact of this community is in Richfield. And that made all the difference. I mean, it made the difference, and it can make or break these projects, whether the municipality is bought in. And in this case, Richfield also leveraged financial resources, right? The city committed $350,000 towards the co-op connecting to city water, which is going to be huge. They're I think one of the only properties that's still on a private well within the city limits. So that's going to be a huge, leap into the future or the present for Woodlawn. So they every step of the way, the city staff has just embraced this project and has believed in it and put their money where their mouth is, right? Which is often what makes the difference, right? On any type of real estate development opportunity, it costs money to preserve affordable housing. So we're infinitely grateful, and I tout Richfield and the municipality as like the model for all other municipalities. I'm like, look what we can do. And when municipalities are on board, when we've got partners, when the residents are committed, you can do something really beautiful.
That is such an amazing story too, and people need to hear that. And we have an exceptional city staff. I mean, across the whole city, and in community development and in other departments, they have been leading the way for years on being innovative. And I think that's something I love about our city and our city staff. We are a small enough city where we can be really nimble, creative, adaptive, innovative, and we're a first ring suburb. We're very diverse. We're this gorgeous community. And we're also able to, we're not super small either, and we're in the urban core, and so we're able to be a role model for other urban communities. And so that's one thing that I love being a part of Richfield. But our community development staff is phenomenal, and they care about, and just like the council, we all care truly about making sure that Richfield is a place that everybody can call home, and that there's a lot of different options. And I think this is just one other example next to the many examples where our staff has shown up in support of that vision. And I know that there's a couple other stories in Richfield where the difference was, you know, the difference is made between the lack of engagement of the tenants or the residents, or their engagement, or the lack of support between the city staff or not, or the support of the council. And we've been able to preserve and improve the conditions for a lot of housing that's affordable here in Richfield. And this is just another example. So I just want to say, Tori, thank you for your leadership and your role in that. And also anything that I can personally do to speak to other mayors, to speak to other cities, to help clear that stigma. I'm glad to hear that there's less and less stigma, but I know it's out there, and I'm happy to continue being an advocate. But I'm so thankful to our city staff for being such a great role model, and such a great partner in the project. So another question I have is, I know that oftentimes with manufactured home communities, there's aging infrastructure and a lot of other expensive things, like you just mentioned, the water issues to deal with and to address. So as you're going through this process with Woodlawn Terrace, what are some of the challenges that have come up that we have to face together, and how are you financing those improvements?
Yeah. So every one of the co-ops that we work with, like any entity that's purchasing commercial property, they go through a really rigorous due diligence process. So they hire engineers to assess the underground infrastructure. And what's unique about manufactured home communities is that in overwhelmingly most cases, all the below ground infrastructure, the electric, all those utilities, all of those critical services are privately owned and have to be privately maintained. And it comes with a huge amount of cost. And the big ticket items that were identified during the due diligence process for Woodlawn was, first and foremost, the connection to city water. We want to preserve those underground aquifers. That's a common interest between the residents, right? They want upgraded water service as well. There's nothing wrong with the current well at Woodlawn, which is great because it gives them time to make the connection to the city, the municipal service. But it's just better long term to not maintain your own system, right? It's just better to be connected to the municipal system. But they do softening and all kinds of great things with city water that are just better in the long term, and you're not maintaining a private system. So that's the biggest item for Woodlawn. And as I mentioned, the city committed $350,000 toward, and that was used as leverage for a state grant. So we helped the cooperative apply for a grant from the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, their infrastructure redevelopment program. And they were awarded, hooray, they were awarded that grant, which I believe is a little over $1 million. And that combined all of those sources together will allow Woodlawn to connect to city water, make some improvements to their sewer system. So their sewer system is in actually pretty good shape, but it's a clay tile system, and you can vastly improve the longevity of that type of system by lining it. So they're going to line their sewer mains, which will be a huge improvement and extend that useful life. They'll make some road improvements. And then the other partnership with the city, we commonly see this in manufactured home communities, is there'll usually be some percentage of the homes in a community that have been abandoned. So homes that are much older, the owners abandon them or they sit vacant for too long. And so there was a handful of homes in Woodlawn that need to be demolished and taken up to make room for new homes, because Woodlawn is bringing in 21 new homes over the next 3 years. And the city's working with us on a down payment assistance program to make those homes affordable to new and first time home buyers, which is awesome. And the city is also providing some resources to help the co-op renovate. They have these two cute little single efficiency apartments that are stick-built homes, stick-built apartment buildings, and so they'll be doing rehab of those units, leveraging some of the resources that the city made available. So you name it, anything anything that had a need, we have found a way either through city resources or leveraging these state grants, and the co-op's own equity, right, their own financing that they got for the project to plug all these holes and make all these improvements. So there's lots of exciting stuff already underway, right, Bev? You've got new homes already. You had your first few homes already brought in. So the train's already left the station. We're already deep into the thick of making all these improvements.
We have 4 homes here right now. They've just been dropped. They haven't been planted, and 3 more on the way.
Wow, that is so exciting. So you talked about this a little bit, Tori, but we are all excited about the ability to bring new homes and new households to our community at Woodlawn Terrace. And so that's another area that we're partnering. So can you talk about that partnership? I believe it is the first time home buyers down payment assistance, but can you talk about how we're working with you to get families in those homes?
Yeah, I mean, manufactured homes are titled as personal property in most states across the country. So some often that means they're precluded from using normal sources for down payment assistance because of the way that they're titled. I won't get into the weeds there because it's going to go over the majority of people's heads, but they're different enough that they're precluded from using the traditional sources. And so one of the things that we asked the city was, hey, could we develop like a specific down payment assistance tool for the new homes coming into Woodlawn to bring down the total development cost of those homes, so that we can reach a monthly payment on those homes, on the loans that they get to finance the purchase of those homes, so that it's affordable to more of a lower income household or folks that haven't ever owned a home before. And that program is still very much in the works. So we're in partnership with the city right now. I believe they've identified resources to fund that down payment assistance pool. And we're working with them to craft how the program gets deployed. So, how do people go access the program, who's eligible, all that stuff is currently in development. But the city, I mean, that's a huge value add because that really allows you to reach a whole different segment of the marketplace when you have a dedicated down payment assistance source.
That is so amazing. And one thing that we know in Richfield, but across all of our communities, unfortunately, is the more deeply affordable housing options are essentially zero. And our families who really have higher financial need are struggling to find housing because it doesn't exist. And so if there are options like this, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get more people in homes and to help them and their families in our community. Well, Bev and Tori, I just want to say thank you to both of you. The two of you are heroes of mine for the work that you're doing. And I hope that our residents see what it looks like to take action in your own backyard to make a huge, tremendous difference in your community, and not forget that each and every one of us as residents can have this level of impact.